Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee was founded in 2014 by Ed and Courtney Lemmix alongside their son, Brett. The Lemmixes are Pensacola natives with a passion for coffee, so what better than their Beachin blend, which is just that, Beachin. It's their classic combination of Colombian and Brazilian beans. It creates a superior French roasted coffee taste, lower in caffeine, so it'll keep you easy breezy. Ed and Brett are both FSU alums and are extending a special offer to our listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit thelunacoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up War Chant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up War Chant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Check out the bundle, y'all. Red, white, and brew, 12-ounce bag. Get it. Ground however you would like. Coarse. Fine. Maybe you want to do it drip. Maybe you want the whole bean. And you'll get an awesome tumbler, which I'm going to be packing full of DeLuna when we hit the road on Tuesday, I think, for ACC kickoff. And you also get those chocolate-covered espresso beans all over DeLunaCoffee.com. Pick out a great way to support us. Do that. Or hit the thumbs up button. Or leave a 5-star rating or review. Or maybe subscribe to the website. It's WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. He and I could not be any more different, not on a day-to-day basis, but right now. Corey Clark joining us from Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. Corey Clark, everybody.
What's up, everyone? What's up, everyone? It's a pleasure to join you guys. Aslan, always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm talking to you actually in the closet of the master bedroom here on the beach house that I have on Santa Rosa Beach. And a fun story, 2 nights before we came here for the week, the house was struck by lightning.
Ooh.
So we still don't have hot water. All the electrical outlets are working except for the hot water heater electrical outlet. So that's been fun. You know, who needs hot water? You got the ocean. You got cold water. You got the shower outside. Ooh. It's fine.
Man, you can deal with it for like 1 day or 2 maybe, but then yeah, the body just wants a hot shower. I'm sorry. I hope you're going to get a little bit of. I hope we're going to get a little bit of a kickback or something.
I was going to say it should be a discount, obviously, but what's the right thing to ask for? 5%, 10%, like
or maybe
3 nights,
like a free night, maybe like either knock off a night or maybe give you a free night down the road, like voucher kind of thing, possibly.
Maybe, yeah, or pay for like a really expensive dinner at a local restaurant or something, like something to make. I mean, this is crazy. You don't spend the money that we spent to not have hot water for 3 nights. So anyway, absolutely. It's fine. I'm not complaining. We haven't raised too much of a fuss. They're trying. They had a plumber out here on a Saturday night for 5 hours trying his best.
Oh, jeez.
Just didn't work out.
It definitely could be worse, Corey. You could be in Tallahassee painting, which is what I've been doing all weekend long. Painting.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's feeling sorry for me on the beach house on Santa Rosa. Oh, little baby doesn't have hot water. Yeah, no, nobody's probably feeling too sorry for me about
it's vacation, and shout out you're working on vacation, and you don't have all your amenities on vacation, so tip the cap to you. Way to be a good sport. I'd have thrown a fit by now, but you obviously all know that already. This will be our last show of the week, originating from the state of Florida. I will be in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, ACC kickoff. We're going to be taking the whole band up there, Ira, myself, Austin Cox, and then the newest addition to the War Chant team, as you all have heard, hopefully by now, Tom Lang. So we'll be holding it down, giving you folks reports, updates, video content. Corey will be cranking out stories left and right. This will be the first time that 3 players from each school will be part of the festivity. So it'll be Mike Norvell, Jermaine Johnson, Mackenzie Milton, and who did I forget? Who's the other one?
Jordan Travis, buddy.
Yeah,
Jordan
sorry,
Travis.
Jordan. Hey, Jordan. Hey, man, I feel you, Jordan. It's all good. It's all love, Jordan. I'm sorry. So, Corey, we haven't talked about the C word a lot on the show lately. I am probably for some reason known as a misogynist on the show, but I don't like the C word. I don't like it. I don't like culture. I don't like talking about it.
Okay. I didn't know what C word you were going for there.
Yeah. But, with Marvin Wilson having been in town this past weekend, and I was there for it, and, man, there was like a dozen current scholarship players, starters, out there supporting him. They still appreciate Marvin. They like him, consider him a friend, and so they're out there supporting him. we haven't talked about that because it's probably the more difficult thing to kind of pin down, variable to discuss. We can talk about defense being top 50 or your quarterback playing at a high clip. I want to talk about that probably in another show later on down the road about quarterback play. But with these guys that are going to kickoff, Jordan Travis was a transfer, Mackenzie Milton, obviously, Jermaine Johnson, grad transfers. We haven't spoke about Mike Norvell's culture taking over, if you will. Is this his way of changing the culture, though, ultimately? Is it just simply getting rid of dudes and bringing in new guys? Or will there be like an enhanced sort of lift to this team this coming season because, quote, the culture will have maybe taken a little bit of a more firm grip year 2?
Yeah, man, that's tough to say. I know that I think Ira tweeted it or wrote. Oh no, he wrote about it.
He did,
well, read that column, by the way, on War Chant about what Norvell's doing right now. But it's been 17 transfers, I think, over the last 2 years, 2 off seasons, 17 or 18, just a huge number. I mean, that's 25% of your roster, or maybe 20% if I do the math correctly, somewhere in there between 20 and 25% of your roster. And it's a whole lot more than that when you talk about contributing players. Like all these guys that they brought in transfer-wise will contribute or have contributed already. So, yeah, man, the culture, it just takes time. And I know you scoff at it, and it's something that's the reason that other people like you scoff at it. I'm not calling you out on it because it's so vague almost. It's not tangible necessarily. You know what I mean? It's like what they said about, pornography in the 60s. You know it when you see it. The Supreme Court said that. I can't.
We all know what pornography is. We just don't know whether anything's obscene or not. When we see it, we know it's obscene.
I thought it was pornography was the quote. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, folks. We're not going to get tied down in that. No. But I think it's just something you know it when you see it. You can tell when a culture is taking over. You can tell when a culture is taking a foothold. And, yeah, man, we'll see. I don't know that the culture gets built quicker with transfers, but the program is better. You know what I mean? Don't you think the program is better now than it was a year ago? It's more talented. The roster's better. The problem that we all wonder about is what will it be next year when half of these transfers are done? And has it taken foothold? Have these guys that came in from these other schools, what has that done to the recruits? Are they going to follow that lead, or are they going to be the next so-and-so and so-and-so? Does that, like the basketball team that we always point to, that is a culture. It's just a culture. That's you can't. I don't think anybody could argue that that the basketball program isn't just winning on sheer talent. There's other things that everybody buys into, and that's why it's so good. And you hope that can happen in football too. But man, it's hard. It's hard to know. It's hard to know when a culture is being built, right? You see the end result of a winning culture, but a rebuilding culture. I don't know. I don't know that anybody in 2007 was looking at that Alabama team going, you know what? I know they just lost to Xavier Lee, and they can't run down Dakota Fag, but I see something special in what these guys are doing. I see what Saban's building. I don't know that you see it until it's been built, until you really see it on Saturdays.
Yeah, I wonder what has been. People would say the actual human beings have been purged out of the team, but I wonder what the calling card of this team was the last few years that made it struggle, that you would then kind of characterize as the culture. How can that change? What will we see? I mean, they blew leads. They blew leads in 19 to Boise. Yes. They nearly gave away a game to NC State and Louisville that same season. Louisiana Monroe as well, but they actually won 3 of those 4 games. So this wasn't like a team that just constantly choked away games. Again, I guess to your point, we'll find this out more once the football season starts. I just wondered about it because, again, being out there, Marvin's movement camp that he held over at John Paul Catholic High School over in Tallahassee, southeast side. It's just that, there's still, I would say that there's majority positive reaction to the story that Austin Cox wrote from that event on Friday. Still, some people, he quit on us, good riddance. It's a me-first attitude he had. But again, Devontae Love-Taylor, a guy that, him and Marvin crossed paths for not even 365 days. He was out there on a Friday night helping out and said that Marvin was the guy who helped show him the Florida State way when he first got here. And we're talking, he's obviously an offensive lineman, Devontae Love-Taylor. So you got guys that you're going up against in practice every single day. You got guys that play right alongside of you. Robert Cooper was there. Fabian Lovett was there. Fabian Lovett, another guy that hasn't been here all that long, but obviously Marvin made some sort of impression on him. Tight end Austin White, a walk-on. Jalen Goss, another offensive lineman. Jaleel McRae. I mean, there was Kalen DeLoach. I don't want to name everybody because I'm going to start forgetting guys, but these guys are still in that locker room. But what I would maybe argue, if people think that's a bad thing that people are out there supporting Marvin, is I've got friends that are really good people, and just because I have a bad attitude about certain things doesn't mean they necessarily have a bad attitude on things, right, Corey? So nothing negative to come from the Marvin event and then his former teammates, I guess, now being out there to support him, right? Or am I wrong?
No, not at all. I don't think so. You look, Marvin did not have a good last year. I guess that was his senior year. He was not good. He was injured apparently, but when he was out there, he was not productive. I think when you look, the only thing I really remember Marvin at all from 2020, other than the tweet in June, was the one, and it is. I think it is important.
Better say blocking those kicks against Georgia Tech.
Well, sure, they still lost. I mean, I guess he blocked a punt against North Carolina, but the Georgia Tech kicks, all right. Either way, you're not going to get drafted on being a guy that blocks extra points. That's not something. And he wasn't drafted. He just did not have a good year. Not anything close to what we thought. But the one thing I'll remember from him about 2020 is you did see him even when he wasn't playing. He was a cheerleader. He was on the sidelines. He was cheering guys on. He was going to them in the huddle and giving advice. Like he still seemed invested enough. But man, I don't think you build culture with that as much as you build culture with the Asante Samuels. The guys that just put in work, that just excel and play at a high level. And whether the team is good or not, they have their own standard. I think that's the thing that has to catch on. I'm sure there are nice guys that maybe just don't give you the production you need. I'm sure this team has plenty of nice guys on it. But to build a culture, it's more than just cheering guys on when you're injured, or it's cheering guys on when you're sitting out, when you've opted out for the last 2 games to protect your draft status where you didn't even get drafted. It's guys like Asante Samuel, man. Like, I know he didn't play the last game, whatever, I think it was the last game, but he played his butt off for a bad football team. He played really hard and took personal pride in how good he was. And I think that's the thing that carries over to the young guys. And I bring this up all the time. Forgive me, folks, if you've heard this before, but I think when you look back at what Tony Douglas did in the basketball, I know I always equate it to basketball, but all those freshmen on Tony Douglas's senior year at Florida State, his basketball team, they all saw how hard he worked. Like he was the first one there, the last one to leave, and that is not a cliche. He was. Leonard told me plenty of times when he got to the office at 7 a.m, Tony was already there getting shots up. All these players saw that. The Luke Laukses, the Dulkys, the Chris Singletons of the world, the Xavier Gibsons, and they saw what hard work was and what focus was in production to go on top of that. And I think that beget the next 3 years where they culminated in an ACC championship. Like, I don't think those guys win an ACC title if they didn't play their first years with Tony Douglas and saw what hard work really looks like and how you become a great college basketball player and a great college basketball team. So I know that probably didn't answer your question, but it's awesome that Marvin does that, and I'm really not trying to dismiss what Marvin does because it's really cool what he's doing. That's a really cool event he had on Friday night. That video you had was really neat. I hope everybody watches it. But the guys that build cultures to me aren't the dudes necessarily that don't play well but cheer loud. It's the Asante Samuels of the world, man. It's the Tony Douglases of the world. Those build cultures, and you hope some of these guys coming in are those kind of guys. They lead by example. They lead with great play and hard work and showing what it means to give 100%. There's all your coach speak, all in one fail swoop.
The clutch shot, the biggest hits. It's time for the Zaxby's indescribably good
Player of the Week.
It's time, indeed. Let's go to basketball. We mentioned Tony Douglas earlier in the show, NBA Finals going on. So, Corey, let's talk about the Zaxby's most indescribably good player in basketball. Single performance ever in Florida State basketball history. Who would you go with?
Look, I'm using this because it's timely more than anything else. I wrote a story recently on War Chant you can read about Luke Laux. He's an assistant coach with the Nigerian national team that is going to the Olympics. As you're listening to this, they're leaving for Tokyo tomorrow on Tuesday, and he's an assistant coach. He's a player development guy for the Warriors. He's in coaching. He seems to be a little bit climbing the ladder pretty quickly, but that's why he's on my mind. because of that, because and they just upset the United States. But I'm going to go back to the 2012. I mentioned it earlier, the 2012 ACC championship game. They beat North Carolina in the championship game for their first ACC championship. And my man Luke Laux, 10 points. Nothing great there, but he wasn't a scorer. 6 rebounds. Okay, I see you, Luke. And 13 assists.
Ooh.
Which at the time, and I think it might still be, was an ACC tournament championship record. 13 assists. So that's my indescribably good. Because Luke Laux had a really nice senior season. But 13 assists, like an ACC record, you wouldn't necessarily expect that from my man Luke Laux. But he did it on the biggest stage they had that season. And so that was indescribably good. Luke Laux, ACC record, 13 assists.
I'm going to go old school, Corey. I'm going to go 1981. I wasn't even on this planet yet. Mitchell Wiggins, who ends up having a kid later on down the road, who's the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. His name's Andrew. You guys might have heard of him. Goes for 37 and 9 versus Florida, and he had 5 steals on 15 of 21 shooting. The cool thing is that he had 46 double-digit games in a row, which was every single game he played at Florida State. But that's only 4th. Dave Fedor had 72. My guy Dave Fedor went to the military, came to Florida State, played 3 seasons. Every single game he scored double digits. But I couldn't find like a really, really good game in which they won. So I go to Mitchell Wiggins. Mitchell Wiggins, my Zaxby's indescribably good player of one single week in the entire history of Florida State basketball. Of note, perhaps some people might think, Corey, Devontae Love-Taylor, who exited last season with a season-ending injury, which we still don't know exactly what it was. I should have been a more intrepid reporter and asked him exactly what it was, but I did not. I did ask him whether he would be ready once practice started up, preseason camp, and he said that he would be full go. So that's got to be pretty encouraging. Then off camera, I kind of asked him if he knows where he's going to start, if he's going to start a tackle again, or if he'll be at guard. And he said that he himself has no clue where they're going to start him out at. But he did mention to me that I think here in the last few weeks he's actually even started snapping the ball because he's like, I want to be ready for anything they might throw at me.
Okay.
So he's like, I'll even be ready. I'm like, center? Really? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I'm ready. And then I also asked him, too. I'm like, when are you going to go home? I'm like, you can try to – because he's kind of from the same area that I am, but not the same high school. And he was like, I'm not going home.
That's right.
He's
there to work.
Yeah, so that's going on. So check out that interview with him. Robert Cooper as well. Big Coop. Big Coop says he's going to start getting after a quarterback this season, he thinks.
Okay, that's good.
That's pretty sweet. And also Love-Taylor was mentioning that there's like something like 8-10 guys putting up 405. I don't know if he meant on the team, period, or the offensive linemen. But again, they go in not segments, but there's like sessions where they work out at. So it's not like all the strongest dudes work out. I think they kind of keep it positionally, like linebacker. When I shouldn't have, cat's out the bag. Look for something later on this summer about the strength program, but
there you go.
Like
that's a little tease.
Yeah. Linebackers and defensive linemen and tight ends were kind of all working together. I don't remember seeing. Actually, no. Yeah, there were skilled people. Yeah, they mix and match everybody. So. Anyhow, don't think that all 85 of them are in the gym at the same time throwing up weights and he's taking notes. It's they parse it down, so we can only hope that there's 24 people throwing up 405, which, as we all know, is 4 plates on each side. Corey, as you know, I shouldn't even have to clarify it with the amount of weight you've been throwing.
Sure,
these days.
I mean I know how many plates that is. Are you kidding me?
No, so.
And don't talk to me like I don't know. And hey, tell the folks what our man Jalen Goss is up to now.
Oh, yeah, big Goss, 290. He's like 6'7", 290. I think that'll hunt. I mean, Darius Washington's listed at 291 on the roster, and he was another guy that actually was out at Marvin's camp on Friday. And I was telling Austin, I'm like, I think Goss looks bigger than Darius. I mean, I know he's taller, but I thought he looked better put together than Darius Washington did. And I kind of was asking him to the side. I'm just like, hey, man, like, is it? He's like, yeah, I'm gaining like 20 pounds. I'm like, can you really tell a difference, though? I wasn't trying to diminish it, but I still think we maybe put too much emphasis on what these guys weigh. And he shot it, and he's like, yeah, man. He's like, it matters a lot. He's like, I can push people now. And I'm like, okay, well, it's pretty important. I mean, I know you don't have a contract with the school. You kind of do with your scholarship thing, but this just should allow you to perform that function of your quote-unquote job a little bit better.
It's odd, obviously, that it took till June or I guess May of 2021 for him to realize that, yeah, It helps to be bigger when you're an offensive lineman and maybe to stop looking like a small forward. But hey, if it happens, it happens. And give him another body. Throw another body at the problem. Maybe that guy. It's odd. It's just odd. You don't have offensive linemen in 2021 or 2020 that weigh 265 pounds. That's a high school offensive lineman these days. So it's cool that he's gotten there. Let's see maybe another wild card to throw into the mix, man.
Yeah, speaking of wild card, we've heard some positive reports regarding Lloyd Willis, who was a very unheralded, under-recruited guy from South Florida, from the Miami area. He was actually, he was another dude that was at Marvin's camp. So that might be one of those guys that we kind of look back on like, oh, wow, he didn't make our top 40. Whoops.
Nobody would blame us for that. Just like if we had done it in 2010, I don't know that anybody, or 2007, people would have blamed us for not having Rodney Hudson on there. But man, I get, like Rodney Hudson was as 0-star, nobody cared about as anybody. And he turned out to be, he might be, I guess he's not a Hall of Famer, but he's got to be close, right? Like when he's all said and done, and he's been like all pro how many ever times, and people say he's the best center in the league, and he has been for half a decade. He might have a claim to a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, they do a good job of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's not like they just fall in love with stats and skill players. They spread the love, if you will. But that's always been sort of my criteria is, are you top 5 at your position for 5 seasons of your career? And I think if you are,
and I think he's top 2. He's like top 2 or top 3.
Yeah. Well, a center is a little bit more specialized, and we're not talking about offensive tackle. At least there's 2 of those guys. But to your point, though, it's nothing to sneeze at. I certainly would hope.
Well, that's
so.
why my
He's
argument
on deck,
that he should be close. And I think Leroy Butler, I think that's a really good argument. I think he was the best safety in football for a good portion of the 90s.
Maybe Anquan?
He was voted that.
If you had to bet between Butler, Anquan, or Rodney being the next guy in the Hall of Fame, who would you pick?
Anquan, I would love to see Anquan in because of who he is off the field, number one. And he put up huge numbers. It's just that, man, wide receiver has been so diluted with all these numbers. Yeah. Like his numbers aren't as impressive as they were when he was doing them. You know what I mean?
But they care about all that. I don't want to say other stuff because it's not. Walter Payton.
But I hope they do because if they care about the other stuff, the blocking, the physicality.
When he got his face broken against the Jets and then came back like 2 weeks later, Mr. Glass. Yeah.
You would hope that stuff matters. And I know some people think that the Warrick Dunn off the field stuff matters, and I'm all aboard that, man. Like, yeah, what a great person to put in your Hall of Fame. You got some people that are awful people that are in your Hall of Fame. And I know you want to do it just on football ability, and Warrick Dunn was, I don't know that he was a Hall of Fame football player at the pro level, just on his just what he did on the football field. He was close. He was all pro-ish, but I don't know if he was a Hall of Famer. But when you throw in what he did off the field, and you throw in what Anquan Bolden did off the field, they're Hall of Fame people. And I don't think you should shy away from being like, yeah, that put him over the top. He was right there on the cusp, maybe a little off it, but then the fact that he's built 200 homes for single moms and helped them with their payments and changed so many lives, yeah, we would love to celebrate that guy in Canton, Ohio. That'd be a cool message to send. So I hope he makes it, and I hope Anquan makes it too. Leroy Butler, I think, is probably the most deserving of the 3 just for what he did on the field. But even still, they're all really close. And throw Rodney Hudson in there, man. I think Hudson's close, man. I really do. It doesn't help that he hasn't been on like a championship team. But man, I don't know that matters much with offensive linemen. I think he should be. He's got to be right there. I think he's going to get a lot of love in like whenever 8-9 years when he comes up.
All right, folks, that is a wrap then for the show. A little on the slower side, but hey, it was lean, but it was mean. Lots of good stuff in the show.
Hey, let's talk. Hey, before we go, just a little bit about the British Open. Like, I know Koepka had a terrible Saturday, so he really ruined his chance of winning. But man, it's like DeChambeau puts stuff on a tee for him, and he always delivers. Right? Isn't that just the most awesome? I don't think Koepka takes this thing very seriously.
I think you're diminishing Brooks's wit and awareness because in hindsight it does seem like Bryson teed that up for him, but would any other golfer in the history of golf have stored that in their memory bank about him complaining about his driver and the next time he's got a microphone in front? No, man, Brooks is wired differently. I love it. He's fallen out of favor a little bit with some of the folks even on the tribal council. golf being the gentleman's game and all. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I think it's great.
I've embraced
it because he doesn't take it seriously, right? You know what I mean? Like he doesn't take this thing. Like,
yes. He takes
like Tiger and Phil hate each other and have hated each other forever, but they would never do stuff like this. Right. Brooks is like, yeah, this guy's a goofball. I think this will make people laugh, so I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say I love my driver. 24 hours after DeChambeau's saying my driver sucks, and the rep for Cobra is calling him a toddler. It's just awesome. When he fired his cat, or when his caddy quit 12 minutes before the round, Koepka tweets out a picture of his caddy and says it's Caddy Appreciation Day. Yeah. It's just like DeChambeau just keeps giving this ammo, and he always delivers, like at a next level. It's really cool to see. Now go ahead and win another one of these majors now, Brooks. Quit finishing top 5. Let's go ahead and knock another one out. But, hey, shout out to Morikawa, man. Another American winning. That's always fun.
Is that his second major?
Yeah, and he did something. I think he's the first person ever to win his first British Open and his first PGA Championship. Like, he won both of them in his first appearance in the tournament.
What a life.
So that was his first British Open, and he won it. So that's cool, man.
If you had to do it all over again, would you have had Brady just live at the golf course?
Like John Poxtat. By the way, my man, he hasn't made a cut yet. That I think he's 0 for 3 in making cuts, and he's getting really close. I hope he can finally make a cut on the PGA Tour. But no, I don't think I like golf enough. I just don't. And I don't like. I know we have golfers listening to this, but like I don't think I like golfers that much either.
Oh, hey, Mark.
You know what
Mark's
I
a
mean?
pillar. Mark's a pillar. Take it back, Corey.
Sure, Mark is a great dude, but I think he's the exception, not the rule, when it comes to elite golfers. I think elite golfers kind of grow up in a different way. They're usually country club kids. They maybe don't. They maybe feel a little entitled. They're
look at this new generation, though. Look at Brooks. Look at John Pock. Maybe it's the Florida State seasoning. So the social skills that you gain.
And Daniel Berger had a good tournament too. Daniel Berger had a good tournament. So good on him too. Always another good weekend for Trey Jones's program.
There we go. All right, we'll all be in a car Tuesday heading up to Charlotte. Ira driving us, doing dad things, being the big guy. We love it. We'll be in Charlotte giving you another podcast or two, at least 2, I would think. But do stay connected to warchant.com in the lead up to ACC kickoff. And then once things start on Wednesday, I think Coastal goes Wednesday. Corey, do you know? I should know this probably. I think
Coastal goes Wednesday. Atlantic goes Thursday.
Yeah, so we'll be there, locked and loaded, embedded, remote. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Corey, go try to take a hot shower maybe somehow.
No, I'm going to go splash around in the surf a little bit.
There we go. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up War Chant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.